Hello friends. On this episode of the Adams Chetwood video newsletter, we're going to talk about why daydreaming can be really good for your financial planning and your investment portfolio. And to set that up, I'm going to tell you a story about some lumberjacks who were hired to build a road between town A and town B. And this is before the bulldozer was invented. So these guys are chopping and clearing by hand, and it is brutal work and it's long work. And so they're chopping and clearing, day after day. They are chopping and clearing. And after a couple of weeks of chopping and clearing, the mayor from the town that is going to be their destination town comes yelling at them, telling them that they have bypassed the town altogether. And as they look back at the road that they were building, they realize that there's an ever so slight curvature in the road. And it turns out that small curves over the course of time turn into big curves. So they've missed the town altogether. So as you would expect, the lumberjacks start screaming at each other, blaming each other. And one of the older lumberjacks, real burly guy, kind of spits on the ground and climbs up the trees next to them. And they say, "Just where do you think you're going?" And he looks down at them condescendingly and he says, "You know, sometimes you just got to get above the trees in order to know where you're going." And friends, that could not be a better analogy of what we're trying to do when we schedule a financial planning session for you. Because most of you, I would venture to say, are so engaged in the chopping and clearing of everyday life that you don't take time to get above the trees and think about where you want to go in your financial life. So one of the things that we think is really valuable is just to daydream about what you want your financial future to look like. And we do so by asking clients 3 questions that come from a life planner named George Kinder. And the first of those questions is this: if you were to win the lottery and you now had $1 trillion in your bank account, so money is not really a problem for you anymore, there's no way you can outspend your money, how would you spend your time? What would you do? How would you spend your money? And as you think about that, you'll start to uncover passions in your heart, things that you would do for free if money were no object. So that's the first question. If you had $1 trillion in the bank, what would you do with your life? The second question is not so much about passion, but priority. So it is, imagine that your doctor calls you and he says, "Friend, I hate to tell you this, but at some point in time, over the next 5 to 7 years, you're going to drop dead. And you're not going to feel sick. You're not going to have any symptoms whatsoever, but you're going to drop dead one day. And I don't know when that's going to be between now and then." And as you let that sink in, you start thinking, well, if I only have so many days, then I want to make sure that I do this. I want to make sure that I am able to coach my kids' soccer team or take my wife to Tuscany. And you start filling out this almost bucket list of things that you want to do before it's time to drop dead. And that uncovers your priority. It changes what's important in your life. It changes who is important in your life when you're face to face with your own mortality. And the third question that further uncovers priority is, imagine your doctor calls you back and he says, "You know what, I'm sorry, we misread the test results. You don't have 5 to 7 years to live, you have 24 hours to live." And as you let that sink in, there's almost a sadness that comes over you. There's almost a mourning of, boy, I wish I had done this. I wish I had been able to do this with my kids. Again, I wish I had taken my wife on the trip that she had always wanted to go to in that Tuscan village. And so from the responses to those questions, those are the big rocks in your life. And so we at the Adams Chetwood Wealth Management Group want to plan your finances and plan your life around those rocks. Sometimes when we ask that third question, clients realize, oh, that will or trust that I was thinking about set up, I would be very sad that I did not set that up. I wish that I had gotten a little bit more life insurance so that my wife and kids or husband and kids could be taken care of in my absence. And that leads us to some questions. Hey, in light of your answers to these 3 Kinder questions, should we do some estate planning? Should we call an attorney about getting a will set up? Should we apply for some life insurance? Or do you need to check into a trip to Tuscany? So all of those daydreaming exercises can be really helpful to clients to help them just get above the trees. I know that shopping and clearing is really stressful, and a lot of times we can be dominated by the tyranny of the urgent. But we think it's really important that clients take a step back and have space to daydream, because it can be really good in our quest for financial peace of mind. I hope that's helpful, and I hope you have a wonderful day.